Hi everyone, I just want to say thank you for being here, and I also wanted to just express my gratitude. A lot of people in this room were very supportive and just reached out and were very kind when my mom was going through her cancer. And yeah, I just wanted to say thank you, because I never got to say thank you personally because I never have time. So I always want to message people, but I just can't. Like, messaging is the worst thing for me. It's really hard to keep up with. So I just wanted to say thank you. Most of you guys are in here, and yeah. So let me go ahead and tell you guys a little bit about the doll. So when I began creating Ayun's story, I realized I was really telling a piece of my own. I've spent a lot of my life feeling like a stranger in many lands, always learning the unspoken rules of new places, trying to belong, and often standing apart. I faced loss and grief earlier than I would have liked, and lately my life has changed so quickly that at times I barely recognized it. Those experiences left me searching for a way to process everything, someplace safe enough to sit with my feelings and make sense of them. That's where Ayun came in. I wanted to create a character who carries the weight of loneliness, cultural displacement, and loss. Someone who has known the sting of prejudice, the ache of missing what was, and the uncertainty of what comes next. But I also wanted her to have something I think we all need. A world she can escape to, where she can imagine herself differently, where she can explore her courage and curiosity without the walls of her reality closing in. Through her journey into an imaginary wonderland, Ayun begins to discover pieces of herself she didn't know she had. The ability to keep walking even when the path isn't clear, to find companionship in unexpected places, and to see that even though life changes us, there's still joy to be carried forward. In many ways, writing her story has been a mirror for my own, reminding me that imagination isn't about running away, but about finding the courage to return with new strength. Her story is my story, and maybe in some ways it's yours too. So without further ado, here's Ayun's story. In a quiet fishing village on the coast of Japan, where the waves whispered stories only the sea could remember, lived a 10-year-old Korean girl named Ayun. Her world was small, just like the crooked little house she shared with her father. The harbor where the boats swayed like sleepy cats, and the narrow, winding streets where neighbors muttered and stared. Ayun's father, a weathered fisherman with hands like rope and eyes like thunderclouds, worked long hours casting nets into the sea. He rarely smiled. Japan's takeover had taken too much from him, his homeland, his wife, and his pride. Now all he had was his daughter and the sea. At school, Ayun sat in the back. Her Japanese classmates rarely spoke to her. They whispered names when she passed: Zainichi, Gaijin, stranger. She tried not to cry, but sometimes the tears would come anyway, stinging her cheeks like ocean salt. Every evening when the village grew quiet and her father's snores filled their home like the low hum of a distant boat, Ayun opened her worn copy of Alice in Wonderland. It was the only thing she had left of her mother before the chaos of imperialism took her from them. The pages were soft from so much love, and the Korean script in the margins, her mother's notes, felt like a warm hand holding hers. How she wished she could go back to those bright, warm, sunny days cooking rice with her mother. In that book, Ayun found something no one could take from her. A world of absurdity, of talking rabbits and tea parties, of courage and curiosity. When the real world pressed too hard, she closed her eyes and imagined she was Alice, falling through the rabbit hole, leaving behind the stares and slurs, the gray sky and broken home. One rainy afternoon, when the sea was too angry for fishing, Ayun sat on the edge of the dock, her feet dangling over the water. She held her book to her chest. "I wonder if there's a hole deep enough to fall through here," she whispered. Suddenly, a gust of wind blew open the pages, and a single line caught her eye. "It's no use going back to yesterday, because I was a different person then." She read it again and again. Just then, a whirlpool began to churn at her feet, the water spiraling faster and faster as if spun by invisible hands. Ayun stumbled back, eyes wide, but the pull was relentless. Like fate itself was summoning her closer, in one breathless moment she was swept inside, plunging into a darkness so complete she could not see her own hands before her face. She fell for what felt like forever, bracing for a hard landing, only to find herself bouncing gently on something far softer than expected. Tiny lights glimmered around her like stars scattered in the black. Blinking, she noticed a faintly lit corner ahead. There, in a glass display case, sat a row of delicate cakes, each one adorned with the words, "Eat me." Turning her head, she saw a table nearby, a single bottle resting atop it, its label reading, "Drink me." A sudden shiver of recognition passed through her. She had been here before. She could almost taste the cake's strange fruity sweetness and recall the gentle fizz of the liquid as it slid down her throat. A rush of memories washed over her. A mirror appeared on the wall, tall and shimmering. She stepped closer, and her reflection shifted. First to a golden-haired girl in a blue dress, then back to herself, and finally to an older version of Ayun. Hesitantly, she pressed her hand to the glass, touching the other Ayun's palm. The reflection melted like water. She gasped, yet an unshakable pull urged her to step forward. She found herself tumbling gently into a new world and landed in a forest where the trees were impossibly tall, their trunks twisting like ribbons, their leaves glowing faintly as though lit from within. Small creatures with watchful eyes peeked from between the roots. A path of checkerboard board tiles wound into the distance, vanishing into a hazy golden light. In the far-off glimmer, she saw movement, someone watching her. The figure stepped into view, a white rabbit in a waistcoat, holding a pocket watch. He gave a slow nod, as if he had been expecting her all along, then turned and began to walk down the path. Ayun took a deep breath and followed. She followed the rabbit through the forest into a clearing, and a figure came into view. As she approached and took a closer look, she recognized the Hatter. She instantly felt the strong feelings of friendship rush over her. The Hatter grinned wide, tipping his hat in an exaggerated bow. "Ah, there you are. I was wondering when you would arrive," he said, his voice bubbling with mischief. Ayun felt the loneliness of her small fishing village slip away. Here, she wasn't the outsider or the quiet girl at the back of the class. She was someone worth waiting for. They sat together at a long table, draped in mismatched teapots and upside-down cups, the air fragrant with strange blossoms that seemed to hum. The Hatter spoke of places that bent time, where yesterday and tomorrow could trade places, and where one could walk into their own future and back out again. After a while, Ayun noticed something. The rabbit's watch no longer ticked forward. It swayed in a slow, even rhythm, as though time itself had decided to rest. She thought about the line she'd read earlier. "It's no use going back to yesterday because I was a different person then." And she understood. Time had already changed her, just as it would keep changing her father, her home, and her dreams. No path is truly walked alone. Often, it winds through where others have stepped before, and a shattered glass, though broken, can still catch the light, its scattered rays reaching places they never could before. Sitting there, she understood that her story was not hers alone. In her grief and her loss, she could still find companionship, and in joining another's story, her own was quietly transformed. Alice's journey had become part of hers now. She would never again be the little girl cooking rice with her mother, but happiness had not vanished. It had simply learned to wear a different face. In this strange world, with the steam curling into the glowing leaves above, she realized she could still laugh, still hope, still carry pieces of joy forward, like a seashell tucked into a pocket. The past had shaped her, yes, but it didn't have to hold her captive. She smiled at the Hatter and poured herself a cup of tea. "Maybe I don't need to know who I am now. I just need to keep walking," she whispered. And somewhere far away, back in a small crooked house by the sea, the waves kept whispering their stories, and Ayun woke from her dream on the dock. The end. I hope you guys enjoy the story. I want to share a little bit about something that will be coming next year. My centerpieces, they're something that have actually been in the works for like 7 to 10 years. I can't even remember when I first did the first sketches, but I shared it with some of you guys a long time ago, and yeah, they're really important to me, and they mean a lot to me because they're something I've been working on for so long. And yeah, I'll go ahead and share a little bit about them. They're called the Oddlings. I'll read the story for you. It's a poem, but I'll read it for you guys. Have you ever lost
I want to say a huge thank you to my patrons from Patreon: Lindsay S., Leah W., Doreen Z., Janice H., Mercedes W., Bear Sunflower, Shorna R., Stephanie W., Shalane C., Louisa's Knickknacks, Marty G., Lynn P., Cindy L., Sabrina A., Kitten Cat, Diane B., and Debbie N. Thank you so much for your support. Your support helps me continue bringing you great Dolly content. For more information on how you can become a supporter of this channel, please see the description in the video below. Thank you.